concept. We're emotionally driven. We try to think with our emotions. Like, I want to go to business of an emotion. And guess what? They open a restaurant, they refinance their house, and they find themselves in the first 6 months, they're broke because the concept, everybody had it. They never had a good location, and they didn't know who they were going to give it to. And they're dead in the water. And I've seen marriages divorce because of a restaurant business that they went broke, life savings, 401ks, they're gone. So do research.
Research and have a business plan.
Yeah, have a business plan.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because it's not easy, correct?
No, it's not
because
easy.
you like it, everybody's going to like it, but before they like it, you have to find the people that's going to like it. As you're going to say, who is going to consume your product? And they are not there. They can. It's impossible for them to know that your enchiladas are the best if they don't know about it.
Right.
Right?
And when there's other people that sell better enchiladas than you. You know what I did when I was in the carreta? When I realized that people were loving it, I would, hey, listen, if I were to open a restaurant, would you go? Yeah. So I had about maybe 200. I would take down their names with their phone numbers. And I go, so if I open a restaurant, would you go? I go, yeah, I would definitely go. I mean, they were eating out of my patio on a green broken chair.
Wow.
So I realized I created a database, not knowing anything about a database, but I did these things without knowing.
But you went into your new friend Google, and you were doing research.
I started doing research.
So you were studying and getting ready, and
yes.
So that's very important. To me, that's a key for success: is to be ready to study, to prepare yourself, because you're gonna have to face amazing amount of unpredictable challenges that if you are not prepared, you're gonna fail.
Absolutely,
you're gonna collapse.
And now you have the internet. You have YouTube. The other day I was going to church and I didn't know how to make a tie. So I went on to YouTube and I said, how to tie a tie.
Yeah.
And in 2 minutes, I tied a tie. So now there's stuff that you can go to YouTube literally and find restaurant operators with a huge amount of experience without going broke. So do the research. That's key.
That's the key.
Got to do the research.
Now, you opened your first restaurant. And then how many you have today?
We have 4.
4.
Yeah.
Okay. How many employees you have?
127 employees.
Okay. So you have overhead, you have payroll, and you have the cost of goods, correct?
Of course, yes.
What you sell.
Absolutely.
So you have an accounting system, you have everything under control, or it's kind of by inspiration?
No. Well, in 2012, I realized that I came out on a program called Despierta America, and there was a young
2001?
2012.
12?
And I had an opportunity of a lifetime. There was a lady called Amelia Machiavelli. And she...
I think I know her.
Yeah, you think you do? And she did a segment. I didn't know what to expect. But apparently I got contacted by Despierta America, and they want to do a segment on you. And the segment that she did, she really struck me. And after that, the exposure that I got, it was just amazing. But I started to get overwhelmed with a lot of business. I didn't have systems in place. I didn't have a proper accountant in place. I didn't have checklists in place. I didn't have the proper bank account in place. I didn't know the law the way I was supposed to. So everything kind of started to come crashing down. Even though the segment exploded, my business started to crumble because of the lack of systems, the lack of people, the lack of knowledge of the law. So I realized...
People, you mean personnel?
Personnel. And then, so I had to go to work on my business. So I had one accountant that would go once a week, and she would do my books. But I had EDD, IRS, workers' comp, and I didn't even know if I had it. But I go, man, you know what? I don't want to break the law. I want to do things right. So my accountant, I told my wife, what do I have to do to bring her on board? And she said, ask her.
That's cool.
So I said, well, can you schedule a meeting? And anyway, to make a long story short, I asked, if you match my pay, which I think was $3,200 a month, I'll come on board full time. So the first thing I did was get my books in order. started to go to work on my business and have the proper accountability in the restaurant business.
At what time in your process of doing business you start making money, actual money? You say, honey, I think that our check account is starting to grow. Was a long time? It took you, what, a year, 5 months?
Well, I think maybe after, I didn't pay myself. All I wanted to do is, I figured I had food. I wasn't going to die of hunger.
Yeah, at least.
I said, as long as I could pay my mortgage, pay my employees, I don't care how much I earned. But I think after the segment with Amelia, I think I started to make money after that. It's because sometimes it's not how much comes in, but how much you keep.
Right.
Because sometimes you waste a lot of food. Payroll is like, every hour you work is hour paid. So that literally, sucks the life out of the restaurant business. So I started to manage and learn. I started going to seminars, learning about P&Ls and payrolls and budgets and food costs.
So you went through an educational process because you actually were playing by ear or by inspiration, but that's vital, don't you think?
Absolutely, and I think there's programs out there that you can go to. For example, I went to one, the restaurantowner.com offer and it was a life-changing moment, one of those life-changing moments.
Yeah.
And in San Antonio, it was a 3-day seminar. I saved up for that seminar, and I took my gordito with me.
So now you have 4 restaurants, correct? Do you consider yourself a successful entrepreneur?
I believe I am. I mean, it just didn't happen overnight. Success it takes a toll on you. They say success is rented. You don't. Success is it's only as good as you work on it. Because from one day to the next, you can go broke. There's lawsuits. I've had one lawsuit. It was a wage and hour dispute, and it was one of the hardest things in my life. I thought the business was going to crumble, but I started forming good bases, good people. I created values. If you go to the restaurants, you'll find honesty, integrity, loyalty. My values. I created a mission statement.
Mission statement, a philosophy.
A philosophy of work.
If you're successful, could you remember one of your, or the most, or the biggest mistake you ever did in your industry, in your current business? One that really marked you and said, "Oh my God, this is it."
Well, when I was a chef on the line. I remember that after the shift was done, what I would do to celebrate, I would buy the beer. I would buy everybody beer. And one day, people were coming into work, and I was sending them home drunk.
Oh.
And I found myself that I wanted change in the restaurant, but the person that needed to change first was myself. So if I was going to impact my employees, they needed to see a change first in me.
Right.
Because you can't demand change when, you can't demand somebody not to be a drunk when I'm a drunk. You can't demand somebody to work hard when you don't work hard. I used to blow up on the line. I used to scream. I was very impulsive. So those are the things that have marked me. That my wife, her name is Lolis as well, they got me into the room. I go, listen, you can't go on like this. And I realized that I was wrong. And I was screaming at people because I didn't know how to manage the restaurant business. I didn't know how to manage my emotions. So if you want to change people's lives and you want to improve their lives, then the one that has to change first is the one at the top. And I always said, if the people that work at Sushi Loco or at the restaurant are not better off with me at the front, they should fire me. Because we need good leaders. And I learned how to be a good leader, someone who wants to inspire.
What's money for you?
Well, they say that's the root of all evil, but money's good if you manage it well. And if you give it back to the people that work for you, if you do good things with it, you're gonna. I'm part of a church in East LA called Victory Outreach, and that through food we can make a difference. So the more money I have, one of my goals is to create a rehab home for women and men where we have programs like computer programs, food classes. So money can defeat you, or it can make you, and you can do great things with it,
What's the most difficult part of managing personnel? You have 125, you said?
127.
127 people. What's the most difficult part?
I say in Spanish that cada cabeza es un mundo. Different people have different attitudes. So the hardest part is managing personnel's the attitudes. And people have problems. People sometimes have 3 jobs. So I had to put myself in their shoes. Sometimes they're not having a good day.
Right.
So I had to learn that, empathize with them. What are they going through? So personal attitude change. So now you know what I hire for? I don't even hire for experience anymore. I hire for your attitude, Starbucks style. They figure they don't care what you look like. And as long as you have the right attitude, then I'm willing to work with you. So I ask 2 things when I hire people: a good attitude and willingness to work.
What's the profit markup percentage of in your industry? Would you say, if I want to open a restaurant and I tell you, Frank, how much money can I make if in a restaurant? What will you tell me?
Well, it's the restaurant business. People think that you get rich instantly. You don't get rich instantly. It's pennies on the dollar. For every $1, I hope to keep maybe 5 cents.
So you're in the 5%,
5%, 10%. But I am blessed enough to be making, maybe 6, 7, sometimes 15. So the markups are very low. 30% is food cost. In California, the minimum wage is going up. That's a challenge. You're looking at 35, 40% operational expenses.
Right. The
lease of,
insurance.
And all of a sudden I'm taking home 5 cents, 6 cents. And I'm okay with that. I learned how to live with 12 cents an hour in prison.
So, you have advantage.
I do. I really do. I know how to live with nothing.
Now, let me ask you, do you have a person or figure beside your family that you really admire the most in the world?
Of course. Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
That is the person that I want to model. Yes.
If you would have the immense honor and miracle of being in front of Jesus, what would you ask him?
I wouldn't ask him anything. I think I would say, thank you for a second chance. Or in my case, thank you for the 5th and 6th and 7th chance. So I would say thank you.
That's so interesting. Is there a habit that you have that helps you to be what you are, keeps
Absolutely.
You going?
I wake up early. They say the early bird eats the worm. It's true. I love to wake up early. It could be from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. Lately, my little boy sleeps with us, so he's been keeping me up late at night. So 6 a.m. at the latest. I don't get up any later than that. I lead a daily life of prayer. I like to, separate myself for minutes and just kind of say thank you for the day and fill myself. Because, there's a lot of noise. Once you leave your home, there's noise. There's problems. There's issues. There's challenges. And if you don't leave with a good mind, to take on those challenges, then you're in trouble. So an entrepreneur needs to be ready, to face challenges. So I try to go to sleep early. Try to go 10 p.m. Wake up maybe about 5 a.m. and have some time with the Lord. And I don't waste time. You know what I've learned? That I don't like to waste time. You can get $100 and spend something, and you may not like it. And you spend $100 and you can go to work and make $100. But when you waste time, you can never get that back. It's gone. So I try to be as productive as I can be during the day. If I don't do something productive in the day, I feel miserable.
Interesting. Now, if I give you a billboard in the middle of the city, the most important corner in the city, which message could you put on it? Beside your brand, of course,
right.
And not including your brands,
Okay.
Sushi Loco. No. A message for people to see or read, or that could be inspiring.
Inspiring. I was going to say,
whatever.
Don't be lazy. No, laziness is one of those things that keeps people from being from keeping them not being successful. Procrastination. So if I had a billboard, I said, keep God first in your life.